For 10 years, George lived beside the most beautiful girl in school, his wife in name, but never in heart. She never called him husband. Not once. He told himself it didn't matter. Love, he believed, was patience. Then she was kidnapped. When the ransom demand came, everyone backed away. Friends cut ties. Family disappeared. No one was willing to take her place. Except George. He volunteered without hesitation and was thrown into an underground dungeon, chained in freezing water, counting every breath just to stay alive. He thought, surely this time she would choose him. But when the ransom money was finally raised, she pushed it towards someone else. Her first love. Her crush. I want to save him, she said. George didn't beg. He didn't cry. He only asked one quiet question. If I hadn't married you, would you have been happier? Her eyelashes trembled. Then she lowered her eyes, took the other man's hand, and turned away. I'm sorry. George smiled. In 10 years, he had heard those words more times than he could count. He should have known this would be the ending. When the kidnappers raised their guns, he stepped forward, placing himself between her and the bullet meant for her. The corner of his lips lifted slightly. Congratulations, he said softly. From now on, I won't stand between you and him anymore. When he opened his eyes, time had rewound. He was back to the day he first confessed his love to the most beautiful girl in school. This time he didn't stay. He turned around and ran, blocking her number, deleting her messages, cutting off every path between them. But fate wasn't ready to let go. Her tear-streaked face appeared on a massive electronic screen in the city. George, without you, I won't be happy. Dress properly, his father scolded. Willow is coming. Change out of that tracksuit. George instinctively pressed his chest. Where a bullet had once torn through him, there was nothing there. He had really been reborn. Today was the day Willow would arrive at the Wong family estate to choose her arranged marriage partner. In his previous life, he would have rushed to look perfect, desperate for her approval. This time, he didn't bother. He messed up his hair, yawned, and waved his father away. I got it. You can go. His father smiled, satisfied, convinced George would do everything to impress her. He was wrong. The marriage between the Wong and Liu families had brought enormous benefits. But Willow had never once smiled at George from the heart. Not even in their most intimate moments did she call him husband. Once, with tears in her eyes, she had asked, Do I really have to stay with you for the rest of my life? And George had asked in return, If I had met you first, would you have loved me instead? She answered with silence. Then came those familiar words, I'm sorry. So this time, George chose something different. He packed his bags, opened his phone, and flinched when he saw her smiling face on his wallpaper. It was only now he realized how radiant she looked when she wasn't his wife. He deleted the image. Then he sent one message, to Makoto Ito. Come to District C Avenue. Go confess to her. Makoto replied with a question mark. George didn't explain further. Makoto was the only man Willow had ever loved. And in this life, George intended to let her choose him. If happiness couldn't be forced, then everyone deserved a chance to chase their own. George blended quietly into the crowd that day, watching Willow from a distance. She looked exactly the same, cold, distant, beautiful. Her eyes skimmed past every man, searching only for one. After rejecting the last cousin, she glanced impatiently toward the entrance. Is that everyone? She asked. There's one more, George's father said reassuringly. She nodded, her gaze never leaving the door. In George's previous life, she had waited like this too, waited until disappointment hardened her expression, waited until she finally pointed at George and said, coldly, then it's him. That single gesture had bound him to years of silent suffering. This time, George sent one last message. Aren't you coming? The next second, the doors opened. Makoto stepped inside. Their eyes met, like destiny replaying the same scene but with a different ending. George smiled faintly, pulled down his cap, and turned away. Behind him, Willow's voice rang out, clear and firm. Thank you, but I don't plan on marrying you. The room fell into stunned silence. Everyone knew Makoto was the one she loved. Everyone knew she had rejected the entire Wong family, but George was already gone. Walking away, he whispered what he never said in his last life. "Willow, without me, may you finally find happiness. Is there anyone else you want to choose besides me?" Willow didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned to my father. "Mr. Wong, hasn't George arrived yet?" My father froze. In all the years he had known her, Willow had always been distant toward me, cold, polite, detached. In my past life, she never once called me by anything but my full name. This was the first time she had said George. That child, my father hesitated. He had something urgent come up and stepped out. Willow's expression stiffened. What could be more important than getting engaged to me? Cold sweat broke out on my father's forehead. "It's fine, Mr. Wong," Willow said quietly. Then she sat back down, her posture firm, her voice resolute. "I'll wait for him." My father forced a smile. "Willow, there are plenty of outstanding men in the Wong family. Why insist on waiting for him? I only want him." She smiled, softly, confidently. "When he comes back, I'll get engaged to him immediately." My father wiped his forehead again, unease written all over his face. "Willow, it might be better if you stopped waiting." "Why?" She blinked. "Didn't he love me the most?" My father fell silent. At one point, he had believed that too, until the day I packed my bags and told him I was leaving. He'd been shocked, upset, but after my mother passed away, he'd always indulged me. When I told him about my plans, about my disappointment with love, he finally nodded and let me go. My father struggled to explain, but Makoto couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Willow," he said bluntly, "he doesn't love you. Don't let him fool you." She frowned. "If you don't believe me," Makoto continued, "look." He pulled out his phone and showed her the chat history. Willow stood up so abruptly her chair scraped the floor. She grabbed the phone, her hands shaking. "He asked you to confess to me?" Makoto nodded. He never cared. That much. Everything before was just an act. And judging by how rushed he left, he probably already likes someone else. Impossible. Willow looked up at him, disbelief written across her face. George wouldn't do that to me. She turned sharply toward my father. "Mr. Wong, you're not joking, right?" "If George shows up," she said, her voice firm, "I'll go straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau with him. I swear, on my identity as the eldest daughter of the Liu family." My father sighed. "It's not that I don't want you to see him," he said carefully. "It's just, he said he never wants to see you again in this lifetime." Willow's fingers tightened until her veins stood out. She shook her head, refusing to believe it. How could that be? "He loves me the most." She opened her contacts, typed my name, sent a message. Rejected. She swayed, nearly losing her balance, staring at the glaring red exclamation mark. Her breathing turned ragged. "He blocked me. I heard today's the engagement day. Willow Liu, the heiress, right?" "Not with a Wong. It's an Ito." "Oh, right. The one she actually loves." "The Wong guy? The one who kept chasing her forever?" If I were her, I'd be disgusted. Wearing sunglasses, luggage by my side, I stood by the road, listening to their chatter. I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. That relentless Wong guy was done chasing. This life, I just wanted freedom. I heard Willow rented a giant screen just for today. Look, top of that tallest building. They say 10 seconds cost 100,000. I pinched the bridge of my nose, a headache forming. Even after letting her go, it still hurt to see her showing her love to Makoto. Just as I was about to look away, her face appeared on the screen, tearful, trembling. "George, without you, I'll never be happy." I lowered my sunglasses, convinced I was hallucinating. The woman who once cried because she had to marry me was now crying harder than she ever had in our past life. "George, I'm here today for you. If you come back, I'll go register the marriage with you immediately. I swear, I must have lost my mind. Willow wanted to marry me willingly? No, impossible. George, I know you can hear me. If you won't respond, that's fine. I'll find you. Whispers spread through the crowd. Did she just confess to that George? Isn't he the simp? Aren't simps supposed to lose everything? But he actually won? Their voices forced me to face the screen. I slapped my cheeks lightly, just to be sure I wasn't dreaming. It really was her. But the moment hope tried to rise, I crushed it. Hadn't I suffered enough already? If anything, Willow was more practical than I'd thought. For the sake of a beneficial alliance, she could still endure marrying someone she didn't love. That realization left me cold. My taxi arrived. I got in and left. But the moment I stepped out, that's him. Grab him. I froze. Dozens of people rushed toward me. Instinct took over. Dragging my suitcase, I ran. I ducked into a convenience store, but the clerk stared for 2 seconds, then screamed, "George?" Oh my God! I bolted out again, hiding in a narrow alley. I finally checked my phone. The headline burned my eyes. Willow Lu offers 10 million yuan for any clue to George Wong's whereabouts. I laughed bitterly. When we were married, the thing she regretted most was marrying me. I was stepping aside so she could be happy. So why was she holding on now? Pulling my collar up and my sunglasses down, I turned toward the airport. This time, I wasn't looking back. George. The moment I heard her voice, a chill ran down my spine. I didn't need to turn around. I would recognize that voice anywhere. It had called my name countless times in my last life. George, how long are you going to keep running from me? The sharp click of high heels echoed behind me. Just as her fingers were about to close around my wrist, I waved down a taxi and jumped inside. Drive, I said, as fast as you can. I kept my head down, afraid even the driver might recognize me, and turn me in. The taxi shot forward. I glanced back. No pursuit. I finally exhaled until the car screeched to a halt, my body slamming into the seat in front of me. "Mister," the driver stammered, "someone's blocking the road." I looked up. A sleek supercar completed a flawless turn and stopped directly in front of us. That license plate. It was Willow. The driver's face went pale. "I'm sorry, sir. You need to get out. I'm not going any farther." 5 identical numbers on the plate were enough to terrify anyone. The moment I was out, I ran. I bolted into a nearby residential area, weaving through narrow streets. A supercar couldn't follow me in here. "George, stop." She chased after me. That was when I turned back. I circled around, yanked open the supercar door, and slid into the driver's seat. Borrowing this, I muttered, "I'll return it once I reach the airport." Then I floored it. I thought I had finally escaped her. Then the roar of an engine shattered the air. I looked over and my heart clenched. Willow was riding a motorcycle, accelerating hard, pulling up beside me. Was she insane? Racing a motorcycle against a supercar? She raised a gloved hand. "Stop. No chance." This time, I had already decided I would never get tangled up with her again. I stepped on the accelerator, pushing the car to its limit, leaving her behind. If she kept chasing at this speed, she was risking her life. And then, a dark blur shot past me. My pupils shrank. The motorcycle overtook me, swerved sharply, and stopped dead in front of the car. I slammed the brakes. The airbag exploded. Before I could react, the door flew open, and Willow slid into the driver's seat with practiced ease. "I knew it," she said calmly. "You wouldn't bring yourself to hit me." I collapsed into the passenger seat, exhausted, mentally and physically. "What do you want from me?" I asked. She tilted her head, studying me, a teasing smile tugging at her lips. "You've been avoiding me so hard," she said softly. "Are you afraid that if you see me again, you'll still feel something?" My blood froze. Could it be? Had she been reborn too? Isn't it pointless to keep pestering me? I snapped. The words slipped out, the same one she had said to me over and over again in my last life. For a split second, sorrow flickered across her eyes. Then it vanished. "Admit it, George," she said. "You're afraid you'll fall for me again, and I'll have you wrapped around my finger." I scoffed. "Then," she continued lightly, "would you dare let me go to Hong Kong with you?" I froze. She smiled. And for just a moment, I lost myself. She was actually smiling at me. "You're going there for investments anyway," she said. "What?" "Afraid I'll follow you, and you won't be able to handle it?" Her provocation worked. As always, I lit a cigarette right in front of her. She paused. But instead of the disgust I remembered from my past life, she didn't seem bothered at all. I had quit smoking for 10 years because of her. I exhaled slowly. "Fine," I said. "I'll go, but don't slow me down." She leaned closer, unfazed by the smoke. "You're the one who'll slow things down." I laughed softly. "Hong Kong." She knew the city better than I did. In our last life, Makoto had worked here. I had once begged her to come with me. Even wrote a 30,000-word travel guide. Her reply back then had been cold. "Is it fun? I don't have time to play with you." But this time, she was different. That night, she pulled me toward the floor-to-ceiling windows, pointing at Victoria Harbor. "The lights are the prettiest at this hour. Look." "It's fine," I said indifferently. The next day, she dragged me through Disneyland from opening to closing, cotton candy in hand, flipping through photos of us on her phone. "Why aren't you smiling?" she asked. "These photos don't look good." I yawned. "You're the one who dragged me here. I'm not interested." She paused and smiled faintly. The next day, she took me to Victoria Peak. Standing above the city, she said, "You once said you liked climbing mountains the most." "It's okay," I replied. She stared at me, puzzled. "I remember you said you really want to come here." "Did I?" I scratched my hair, not bothering with appearances. "Don't remember." It wasn't until we stood before the Tiantan Buddha that it hit me. The itinerary. It was exactly the same as the one I had planned in my last life. The only difference, the person beside me. Back then, I never cared about the scenery. I only cared about her. Now, Willow was already part of the past, and even the places I once dreamed of visiting had lost their meaning. After placing incense into the burner, she stood quietly before the Buddha. Then she turned to me and asked, "George, are you happy with me?" The question hung in the air, heavy and sincere. No, I couldn't lie. Not here. Not in front of the Buddha. She turned to look at me, searching my face. What if I mean the time we spent traveling together? Still, no. Her lips pressed together. The smile she forced onto her face didn't quite reach her eyes. "Before," she said quietly, "you were the one who wanted me to come here with you." "I know," I replied, "but it's too late now." Incense smoke drifted upward between us, curling slowly, like the last remnants of something unfinished. "All right," she exhaled softly. "I understand." Then, after a pause, "But I won't give up." She looked straight at me. In front of the Buddha, she said, "I won't lie." I lowered my gaze, but her eyes pulled me back. For just a second, time collapsed. It felt like the day I first met her. Those eyes, bright, sharp, had struck my heart like lightning. And from that moment on, I had given her my entire life. But that life was already over. "Do whatever you want," I said. "I won't be with you. When you regret it," I added calmly, "you're free to walk away on your own." Then I turned and left. Willow disappeared faster than I expected. The next morning, when I opened my eyes, she was already gone. I called her. No answer. Even though I told myself I'd let her go, out of simple human concern, I activated my contacts and asked around. The silence stretched on. Message after message went unanswered. Unease crept in. A few days later, after finishing my business, she still hadn't reached out. I couldn't help but frown. Then word came from the mainland. She had already returned. I let out a breath. At least she was safe. But on my way home, passing through a park, I stopped short. Two familiar figures. Willow. Makoto. The wind lifted her hair, letting it fall softly against his fingers. I heard him say gently, "If he doesn't want you, I do." Something sharp spread through my chest. I had planned to cut ties with Willow, but I'd never seen her as an enemy. When she vanished without a word, I had even worried. If she had simply stepped back and walked away, I wouldn't have felt a thing. But this, returning without a message, clinging to Makoto while still tangled in feelings for me. It felt too much like my past life. I turned away. No more contact. She was just karma, something I would carry but never touch again. I blocked every number, deleted every trace. From that moment on, the past was over. The Hong Kong deal was done. From now on, my life would only move forward. I began planning to travel again. In my last life, I'd chosen Hong Kong because Willow loved it, but the places I wanted to see were elsewhere. This time, I would go alone. On the day I was set to leave, Willow knocked on my door. How much longer even keep this up? I asked, impatience slipping into my voice. She stood there with her hands behind her back, leaning forward slightly, smiling. Did you forget? Today is my birthday. I rubbed my temples. Go celebrate with Makoto. Why come to me? But you're my husband. A chill ran through me. I'm not. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. Don't come after me again. I turned, dragging my suitcase. She grabbed my arm. George. I shook her off. How many times do I have to say it? I'm done. You always wanted freedom. I snapped. I gave it to you. So, why are you still here? Didn't Makoto give you everything you wanted? My voice rose louder than I intended. My father heard. Seeing Willow's reddened eyes, he swung at me. You ungrateful brat. How can you treat Willow like this? The Wong and Liu families had been close for generations. To him, Willow was family. I dodged the punch, trying to explain. I don't want anything to do with her. She's the one who won't let go. Sir, please stop. Willow stepped between us. She turned to me, serious now. George, this will be the last time. If you let me come with you today, if you spend my birthday with me, after midnight, I'll never bother you again. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Really? Yes. She raised her hand. I swear, as the eldest daughter of the Liu family. I hesitated, then nodded. All right, keep your word. After today, no more. Her eyes lit up. She jumped forward and hugged my arm. Then let's go. A strange sensation ran through me. It had been a long time since anyone had held my arm like that, especially Willow. Despite everything between us, this really was the last time, and since it was her birthday, I softened just a little. Passing a roadside stall, I pointed at a bundle of red strings. Do you like those? I'll buy one for you. I didn't expect her to agree. Cheap trinkets like that were never her thing. It was just habit. Sure. Her answer caught me completely off guard. When she smiled and nodded, I honestly thought I'd misheard her. You really like something like this? I like everything you buy for me. For a split second, I wondered if the woman standing in front of me, with those bright, sparkling eyes, was even the same Willow I'd known. I bought the red string and tied it gently around her wrist. She lifted her hand toward my eyes, letting the small red beans sway beneath the light. Do you know what this means? No, I said flatly. She laughed and tapped my forehead. You're so clueless. Haven't you heard? On an ornate dice, red beans symbolize longing, deep longing. I froze. That soft, clingy sweetness of hers, it unsettled me. Say that to Makoto instead, I said coldly. I couldn't accept sharing words like that with someone who didn't belong to me. She only smiled, completely unbothered. Watching her treasure something so cheap and fragile, guilt crept into my chest. Let's go shopping, I said. I'll pay for everything. She blinked. Is that your birthday gift to me? Something like that. I replied, I haven't had dinner yet. She laughed quietly and hooked her arm through mine. You don't need to stay with me. I already prepared everything. The hotel doors opened and I froze. A massive birthday cake. Stacks upon stacks of gifts. These? I hesitated. They're from someone else? No, she said gently. They're all for you. I pointed at myself. For me? But today's my birthday. She smiled, warmth creasing her eyes. Yes. This is me making up for your birthdays. She pulled me closer. The gifts were neatly arranged, each pile labeled by age, from birth, 1-year-old, 2, 3, all the way to 32. 32. In my last life, we married at 22. 10 years later, I died for her. I had spent more than 10 birthdays beside Willow. Yet she had never remembered my own. Was she making up for the birthdays I never had? It's clearly your birthday, I said quietly. Why are you celebrating someone else? She looked at me. Are you moved? I answered without hesitation. If anyone did this, anyone would be moved. If someone else did it for me, I'd feel the same. I made sure she understood. This wouldn't change my decision. I know, she said softly, lowering her gaze. I didn't expect to change your mind. The faint sadness in her voice made my chest tighten. So, I asked, what do you want? I'll make it up to you. She paused, like she'd been waiting all along. Will you go with me to a Buddhist temple? We went together. We offered incense in silence. Then she took out a ring. The design was almost identical to the wedding ring from our past life. George, she said, I have one last wish. Will you help me put on? I frowned. Are you asking me to propose? She laughed. So would you? In front of the Buddha, lies had no place. I wouldn't, I said, shaking my head. She sighed, still smiling. I knew you'd say that. Don't worry. It doesn't mean anything special. I just want you to put on me. She raised her hand. I swear, after midnight, I won't bother you again. I exhaled and slipped the ring onto her finger. She stared at it quietly, then leaned gently against me. I stiffened, but didn't move away. George, she whispered, I love you. You can't lie in front of the Buddha, I said lightly. That's exactly why I came here to say it. Madness. I frowned. At first, I didn't like you at all, she continued softly. But 10 years, even stone warms a time. Stop. I didn't want to hear it. I remembered too much. She had always been too good at stirring emotions. I'm not lying, she said quietly. Resting her head on my shoulder, she gazed at the city lights below the mountain. I know you hate me. I don't ask you to forgive me. My biggest birthday wish is that you live happily. Always. Something felt wrong. I looked down and saw faint drops of blood on the back of my hand. Willow. I pulled her closer. Blood stained the corner of her lips. I'll take you to the hospital. She lifted her hand weakly. Don't, it's too late. It's midnight. The temple bell rang. My breath shook. Midnight, what does that mean? My time's up, she whispered. In my last life, I should have died long ago. This life, with you, I begged fate for it. What are you saying? George! She smiled faintly, lifting a hand with the ring. Thank you for putting it on me. I truly love you. Her hand slipped into mine. Warmth filled the space between our palms. Her eyes reflected the lights of countless homes below. I wish time could freeze. Right now, then, she went silent. My hand stiffened. And for the first time, I felt something collapse inside my chest. I knew from a young age that I was only a character in a story. By chance, I learned my fate. I was destined to die, shot through the heart by a kidnapper. But by then, I had already fallen in love with George. I wanted to accept his love, build a family with him, grow old together. But fate had other plans. With only a few years left to live, I lay quietly beside the man sleeping next to me. His breathing was steady, peaceful. I lifted my hand and traced the sharp lines of his face with my fingertips, as if I could memorize him through touch alone. Tears slipped down before I could stop them. By the time I die, he will be 32. That age echoed in my heart like a sentence. 32, still young, still standing at the beginning of his life, with countless paths ahead of him. I couldn't take that away from him. So I made a decision. Let him hate me. Let me become the heartless woman in his memories, the woman who loved another man, the woman who never chose him, the woman who broke his heart without hesitation. That way, when I disappear from this world, he won't cling to me. He won't grieve. He won't be trapped in a past that can never return. He'll let me go. That night, I threw everything into the fire. The birthday gifts I had prepared for him, carefully chosen, wrapped with trembling hands, burned one by one. even the roses he once gave me. I watched the flames consume them, imagining the moment he would come home, see nothing but ashes, and hear me say with a cold smile, "No amount of roses can create love. Don't waste your effort." When the kidnappers took me, I never once imagined that he would die for me. So when fate gave me a choice, a chance to redeem someone, I chose Makoto without hesitation, because I knew the truth of the story. I knew I was always a target. The ransom was nothing more than a trick, a way for them to seize my wealth before my death. That bullet, it was meant to pierce my heart as I walked away with Makoto. I didn't regret it. I believed that if George saw me choose another man, he would finally free himself from me, that his love would end there. What I never expected, what shattered everything, was that he would break free from the plot itself and step in front of that gun. At that moment, everything collapsed. I made a pact with the system. I asked for time to be reset, to return everything to how it was before, even though my death had been blocked, even though this life promised me 100 peaceful years. I didn't want it. I didn't want a long life. I only wanted to save him, even if I could only live until my next birthday. What I didn't expect was that he, too, had been reborn. Perhaps this was fate's cruel mercy, or its final kindness, giving us one last chance. We only had a few months left together. In the previous life, I made him chase me for so long, made him suffer quietly, made him love me alone. So what was wrong with me chasing him this time? If I failed, it didn't matter. After all, I was already someone walking toward death. As long as I could relive even a fragment of the moments we once shared, even just a single heartbeat of happiness, that would be enough. More than anything, I needed to say the words I never dared to say in my last life, because in front of the Buddha, one cannot lie. Husband, I love you. In this life, may you live long, stay healthy, and find a happiness that no longer needs me beside you.